Methods of adaptive knowledge testing based on the theory of logical networks. Nowadays, among the problems of distance education, the problem of the automatization of knowledge testing occupies a special place. The issues of computer testing are of great interest for university teachers and software developers of such testing systems. Meanwhile, the issues of computer knowledge testing is not completely covered in the theory, and the interest in them is often realized by creating an ordinary computer testing program with a predetermined set of control tasks. Adaptive testing tools are not sufficiently covered and processed. Knowledge control of testing is a process carried out with the aim of determination of the level of knowledge of the student. This is the most standardized and objective method of testing and evaluation of the knowledge, skills and abilities of the student, which do not have the traditional flaws of other methods of knowledge control, such as unevenness of the criteria, the subjectivity of examiners, uncertainty system of evaluation, etc. Information and educational resources containing test materials can be divided into two categories. The tests that student must take in the writing form and then be reviewed manually by the instructor. Systems of computer-based testing with the appropriate filling with test materials. The main functions of testing systems are the functions of knowledge control, which are also educational and developmental. Testing is an important element not only at knowledge control but also at learning. The controlling function determines the state of knowledge and skills of students, the level of their development, the level of mastering of cognitive skills, skills of efficient education work. The educational function of control is to improve knowledge, skills and systematize them. During the revision process, students repeat and consolidate the material they have learned. The prognostic function of the revision serves to obtain early information about the educational process. What is adaptive testing? Adaptive testing means a computerized system of scientifically based review and evaluation of learning outcomes, which has high efficiency due to the optimization of procedures of generating, presenting and evaluating the results of adaptive tests. With adaptive testing, in the process of passing a test or a set of tests, a model of the student is created, which is used to generate or select the next test tasks depending on the level of training of the student. In complex systems, the obtained model can also be used in the learning process. Nowadays, adaptive testing is implemented mainly in the form of algorithms of computer testing. Adaptive testing must meet the following requirements: the ability to regulate the proportions of easy, medium and difficult assignments depending on the number of correct answers of the student. The ability to regulate the proportions of the suggested different topics of the educational program in the test. The possibility of regulation the levels of complexity of the tasks of the test taken considering the semantic competence of the test taker. Activation of the adaptive mechanism of transferring to a higher level of tasks at the same level of the proposed tasks. Each higher level assignment is evaluated by higher scores. It is necessary also to provide a scenario of the system in order to determine the basic algorithm. The scenario is based on the paradigm of checking the exam by a teacher as a model of adaptive testing. The choice of the scenario for the system is based on the fact that firstly, this procedure is historically formed a long time ago and is well formalized. Secondly, while designing test set developers need to rely on generally accepted, known and used methods with minimal modification. The adaptive testing algorithm must be accompanied at every step while moving from one task to another, and be foremost informative, provide maximum information about the student's answer to each question that was asked. At the same time, the subjective qualities of the student, which can be expressed as a lack of comprehension of the obvious question or task, should not be neglected. Under certain conditions, additional questions are an integral part of the tests, but we should also take into account the next point. Not all additional questions are identical, both in terms of complexity and in terms of full compliance with the main question. Chains of additional questions represent logically connected sequences. Questions are asked sequentially, meaning it is impossible to ask two or more questions at the same time. The frequency of additional questions may vary. The last requirement lets endlessly traverse the questions, so the termination of the test is possible in the following cases. All questions in the bank of tasks are used. The end of the test is reached. The level of knowledge is assessed with sufficient accuracy. The level of student knowledge considered insufficient to achieve the criterion of passing the test, and student demonstrates his or her inability to pass the test. A representation of the testing algorithm in the form of a predicate description of logical networks is not exhaustive. As it was noted before, no matter whether the answer was right or not, one of the following decisions will be taken. Transition to the next main question with possibility to choose its complexity. Transition to the next additional questions. In addition, it is necessary to discard already asked additional questions. Return to the main question if the answer to an additional question is received. And termination of the test. Logical network-based analysis. The presence of logical analysis and decision-making in the test task model, the behavioral rule of the examiner. Adopted situational approach is based on the rules for a specific behavioral question, transfer of control to another question within a single task. This allows to take into account not only the elementary set of the answer results, but also which answer from the set of incorrect answers is chosen, considering the states of the examination protocol before interaction with the specific question. Additional questions can be selected from the main ones with any level of complexity and created separately for a specific test. The level of difficulty must be assigned for them as well as for the main ones. Thus, it is possible to summarize the questions in a set of test tasks as a structure of data and determine its behavior. To conclude, such systems allow to release the teacher from routine work during examinations and intermediate assessment of knowledge in the traditional educational process, and when learning with the use of distance technologies becomes the main means of control. Provides the ability to automate the processing of results, the objectivity of control, and the speed of checking the quality of preparations of many tests on a wide range of issues. This allows you to identify the sections that are most difficult to learn and possibly adjust the learning process depending on the test results. Provide an opportunity to implement the learning function. Allow individualization of the process of learning by students. The functions of knowledge control are not only controlling but also educational and developmental. During the training test, the user after the test is provided with links to those sections of the training material, the questions on which he answered incorrectly.